Good evening, everyone, on this wonderful Tuesday, May the 5th, 2020. It is Cinco de Mayo, and it is so cold here. So cold in this school right now, but that's okay. That's all right. It's very crisp, as we would say. Anyway, for those of you who haven't tuned in before, my name is Trevor Patrick Watkin, and I am broadcasting live every night at 8 o'clock Central Time here at Access Contemporary Music in beautiful Chicago, Illinois. Access Contemporary Music is the school where I've taught for about 6.5 years. There are about 23 faculty that are all working professionals in the city. We have about 300 private students citywide. We are still doing online. Online lessons, and that's just been a real, very interesting thing for all of us. But it's kind of amazing how productive it's been, and it's just really nice to keep things going. And of course, the reason why I choose to broadcast from here is not just because this is a place where I feel productive and feel like I can get a lot of work done, but also to bring, just to recognize, to make sure that all of you know that this is the place where I feel really musically at home, and it's just wonderful to be here sharing this with you tonight. So tonight is not just Cinco de Mayo, but it is also Bill's birthday. Those of you who don't know who Bill is the one that does all of the graphic design for this channel, all the YouTube videos, and does an enormous amount of, well, first of all, if you've seen my website, he's the one that's designed it, and he's just sort of my handler when it comes to social media and keeping me on task and all of that. And actually, and he's here tonight, so you should say happy birthday, because it's his birthday today. So anyway, the reason why I wanted to do the Black Duckling tonight, first of all, I'm getting ahead of myself. So the music tonight is from the very first show that I ever did in Chicago, and it was a production called The Black Duckling, and it ran between October and November of 2009. So almost 11 years ago, which is crazy. It is the first show that I had ever done for theater. It's the first time I'd ever written that much music. And in fact, so the artistic director of the company where we did this had seen me perform at the Green Mill, some gig that I had done some months prior, and said, hey, I think I want him to do the music for this. And I was so intimidated by the concept of this show, and so intimidated by the fact that I had to write 90 minutes of music, that I completely blew off the first meeting. It was on some weeknight. The company was down on the near south side. And about midway through the meeting, I was talking to Bill on the phone, and I mentioned, he goes, oh, did you go to the meeting? And I just kind of mentioned casually, oh no, I didn't go. And it was a very kind of like, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed type of conversation. So I got in my car and I drove down, and I actually made like the last, like, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes of the meeting, but the rest is history, as they say. So, and another reason why I wanted to do the Black Duckling specifically on Bill's birthday is because Bill actually, probably unwittingly, gave me some of the best composition advice I'd ever been given, even going through undergrad and graduate work, because I really didn't know. I think anyone who's ever tried to create anything artistically, whether music or otherwise, there's nothing more frightening than the blank page. It's like getting started is just the worst. It's just so difficult to get started. And so I had a whole microphone set up, and I have a piano in my apartment. And so his suggestion to me, in answer to the question, yes, there is a far south side. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we're talking like 18th Street, and it goes all the way down to 130th. Like, the south side is enormous. Anyway, Bill's advice to me on how to get started was, why don't you just flip on your microphone and start improvising? And so that's a technique that I still use today. In fact, it's a technique I teach to my students. Just turn on a microphone and make something up. And maybe some of it's going to be crap. Maybe all of it will be crap. but at least you did something. And I still have all of my improvs that I did dating back to 11 years ago. And there's some stuff that maybe I didn't use then, but I would definitely use now. So the Black Duckling was sort of my first foray into writing in this style. And so once you actually have all the raw material, something I always tell my students is never, ever, ever edit your music the day that you write it. Because if you edit it on the day, you'll just delete everything because you're like, oh, this is terrible. So you have to give it a little bit of time. And so there's stuff that I created, 11 years ago that maybe I didn't care for at the time, but I've gone back and listened to some of it and been like, yeah, I dig this. Like, this is something I can totally use. I should also mention too that, so I had my piano, and I had my microphone set up. So it wasn't for this show, but it was in May of 2010. So this was about 6-7 months after Black Duckling closed. I was recording and, well, let's just say that the piano bench broke. And so I was really, really grateful because I actually got it all on audio. So do you know what it sounds like when a 250-pound man breaks his piano bench and falls to the ground? Well, now you do. So I'm really glad. And as an addendum to this, that totally happened again about 2 weeks ago. I was teaching a lesson in my apartment, and I broke another piano bench. Another one. Yeah, so just call me fatty. God. Yeah, so I've got I was just like, I can't even deal with this right now. So I haven't gotten another piano bench yet. I don't think I can be trusted with piano benches. I think I'm just going to use my dining room chairs. Anyway, I'm going on a while. So I will just say simply that this show, as I mentioned, was a completely silent production with super titles up with the script. And so I had to score it the way one would score a movie. And I mentioned last night that when you score a movie, you're scoring something that's static, and so you can plan for hit points. And the really brilliant thing about this cast, and literally every person in the cast was able to do this, they knew, by the time we opened, they knew the music so well that they knew how to slow down or speed up the action to make sure that we were in line with what was going on. So obviously I'm not playing everything. Admittedly, tonight's music is a little bit on the downer side. I'm playing the last two scenes of the play. The first one, and in fact, all of the pieces that I'm playing tonight are in the description box. And additionally, I also put Bill's Twitter handle, so you should jump on Twitter and make fun of him. Anyway, so but I'm playing the Act 2, Scene 5 is called Eglentyne / I Give You to God, a Cecelia Hen. And then Scene 6 was really broken up into three smaller ones. So this is the last roughly 14 minutes of the show. And it's just been a real thrill to go back and relearn this stuff, because I actually had to go back onto an old laptop and find all my old files. So I actually did perform. So the last three scenes that I'm playing tonight, I actually did play live in the show. But the first thing I'm playing tonight, I did not. I've never played this live before. And I'm making use of this little baby. So this is the flute's little sister. This is the piccolo. And it sounds an octave higher. And you'll notice that it's black because the piccolo is so high that now when I recorded the original audio for Black Duckling, I did have a metal piccolo, but this is a different one, and it's just the material it helps to sort of warm up the sound a little bit, so it's not quite as shrill. But anyway, yeah, Eglentyne, played by the wonderful Danielle Janawi, and Bill played Auberon. Bill was actually in that show. And then I think I saw, yep, Megan's here tonight. Yep, Megan, the fantastic Madam Purdy. And Stacy is here. So it's really great to have some of the OG Black Duckling folks. Anyway, I've gone on long enough, so let's get cracking. without further ado, this is the last, really the last 4 pieces of the Black Duckling. There's no other plan. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, that was the music. It's really hard for that was the last bit. That was the last part of the play, and then there was this da 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 ba da dum ba. This old timey song was used for the bows. Anyway, that was yes, that was the Black Duckling. And that was sort of my trial by fire. And so it just sort of, it had been, I'd had that was about 6 years in between when I graduated college and when I started the Black Duckling. And it was a very difficult time, really kind of trying to find my way as a flutist and as a composer. And so the Black Duckling was sort of a fresh start. And so I think about that a lot. And as I mentioned, you know, the advice that Bill gave me, you know, just improvise, just improvise. And so that has been what I've used to write since then. Of course, you don't just take straight improvisations, you improvise and then you figure out what you want to do with that. A couple notes. You could probably hear like birds chirping, and there's even one point where you can hear a car drive by. It's because when I recorded it, I didn't know what I was doing. I know only slightly more now what I'm doing, but when I recorded it, it was in the summertime. I started writing that in the summer. So my windows were open, and so you can hear like the birds. You can even hear my poor bench squeaking, like tragic foreshadowing. You can hear my bench squeaking. That was kind of fun to listen to. So that wasn't all those birds and stuff. That wasn't like, I mean, it was fine that it was in there, but it wasn't like intentional. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to me tonight. I know this was a bit longer than I normally do on a weeknight. Tomorrow is 4A again. Those of you that tuned in, I think it was last Tuesday. Last Tuesday was 4A Cecelia Hen. Tomorrow I am doing a wonderful piece called Fantasy for flute and piano. And then another really charming short piece called Morceau de Concours. It's a piece that he wrote on his day off from the conservatory, and I just think that's cute. Like, that's definitely not how I spend my days off, you know. So anyway, please feel free to tune in for that. If you like what you've heard, please feel free to subscribe. I was actually just talking about this earlier. The reason why I like the subscription option is because it allows you, especially if you click the bell to get notifications, it lets you know when I'm going live, and I don't want to intrude on anybody. And of course, always subscription is optional. I'm just glad you're here. So anyway, please stay happy. Please stay healthy. Please come back and see me tomorrow because you know where I'm going to be. So anyway, thank you so much for being here with me, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you tomorrow night at 8 Central Time.